Hey mommies, welcome back to Wisdom Wednesdays. I'm Chelsea and I'm so excited for you guys to be back for episode 2. Episode 1 of Wisdom Wednesdays launched last week and I talked about womb health and it was received so well. I was super excited about all of the feedback I have gotten and just the insight and everyone sharing how much they enjoyed it. So this week I proposed to do something a little different. I gave you guys the option to vote on what you wanted me to discuss. So it was between stay-at-home moms versus working mom guilt or breastfeeding, and you guys chose breastfeeding. When I saw breastfeeding was chosen, I was like, oh, y'all want to talk about breastfeeding? Breastfeeding? Soldier Boy voice? I could give y'all some talks about that, some good conversation. I have been on the ends of both spectrums, so I know all there is about breastfeeding. My goodness. So much so, I got my laptop here and I wrote out 3 pages of topic to discuss with you guys because I don't want to forget anything. Breastfeeding is the most natural thing that your body can do other than giving birth. As a woman, right? Of course. However, breastfeeding, what people don't tell you, is also the hardest thing other than giving birth that your body will do as a woman. I grew up in a family where all of my aunts, all of my girl cousins, everyone breastfed. I never saw a pump in my family. All the children were only nursed. When I tell you I wasn't introduced to a breast pump or what that whole thing was until I got pregnant, that's how oblivious I was. We were just a nursing, breastfeeding family. I knew about formula and all of that stuff, but it was the pumping and storing milk. Didn't know anything about it. So I get pregnant and everyone's like, so are you gonna pump or are you gonna breastfeed or are you gonna do formula? I'm like, oh, no doubt about it. I'm breastfeeding. That's it. That's period. Like there's no other option. And then I gave birth. And what I didn't know, what no one, well, now the conversation is more transparent, so you hear about it a little bit more. But back when I had my son 4.5, 5 years ago, that I did not know that when you have a baby, you're not, like your body doesn't immediately produce milk. When you first have a baby, your body produces something that's called colostrum. It's really thick and sticky, and it's almost like, trying to think of what I can describe it to. It's almost like, kind of like, almost like a gelatin. Like it's really, really sticky, and it's not milk, but it's your body or your breast formulating and running so that you can start to produce milk. Well, backstory on when I had my son, he had a little complication during birth. He was a meconium baby, which means he swallowed some of his poop. They were able to suction him in time, so he was fine, but he still had to go to ICU just for checks, making sure everything was okay. And I didn't get that opportunity to immediately latch him on. So I had to pump as soon as I had him. And when I had my son, he was hungry out the gate. Like, fresh out the womb, he was ready to eat. He was a big baby, 7 pounds, 11 ounces. I know some of y'all like, that ain't no big baby. I done had an 8-pound baby. That was a big baby for me, okay? He was super hungry and really agitated. And when the nurse would try to like pick him up to do his vitals, he would do like this a lot. And so they were like, oh, we're gonna keep him in the NICU longer because we want to make sure everything's okay, mom. And he just seems like really frazzled, and that's not normal infant behavior. So you can just continue to pump and bring milk to the nursery. So I'm sitting at this pump and I don't know how to hook it up. I'm just like, okay, what do I do? So, I've tried to figure it out on my own. My mom wasn't there at the time. She was actually traveling in. And so I'm sitting and I'm pumping and I'm like, why is what I'm making doesn't look like milk at all? And that's when I realized about the colostrum. So I would produce like little droplets and then put it in like this small little storage bottle. And then I'll have to run to the nursery, and they were giving him formula at the time. And I kind of felt jaded because I didn't get to breastfeed him initially, and they had given him formula. And if you follow a lot of breastfeeding blogs or pages, you know, when a baby is first born, their stomach size is like the size of a grape. So as hospitals, they give formula, and it's always a 2-ounce bottle. So a grape and a 2-ounce bottle. Most moms don't care for that option because they says that it stretches the baby's stomach prematurely before the baby is old enough for their stomach to stretch. It's almost like their stomach goes from a size grape to a size egg overnight. My son was drinking 2 ounces every 2 to 3 hours. That's a lot of milk. And here I come trucking in the nursery with my little droplets of colostrum. When I got home, I thought things would get easier, and I started having a lot of pain latching him on. If you breastfeed, you should never have pain. If you ever feel pain during nursing, something is not right as far as the baby's not latching on properly. I thought they came out the womb latching. You know, it just always seems so natural when you watch it on TV or you watch your friends. No one really shows you, like, you have to put your breast and your nipple in between your 2 fingers and then push it there, and then you got to put the baby whole mouth over your areola and they got to suck or not. I never saw that. So my son was latching, and it was almost like he was pinching my nipples. So I started to have really sore, tender, cracked nipples, and it was super painful to a point where I started to bleed on one, and I could only nurse on the other because quite naturally I'm not going to nurse him if I'm bleeding on this one, if I'm bleeding on a nipple, which caused me to have clogged milk ducts. That, y'all almost cursed. That is so painful when you have clogged milk ducts. And me, once again, not knowing, I'm thinking, I'm a size double D, okay? Y'all see these things? They're big. I was like, oh, I'm going to make all the milk. I'm going to have gallons, okay, honey boo-boo? I'm going to have all this milk, and it does not matter your breast size. That has nothing to do or no correlation with your milk production. So now I have this breast triple the size that it normally is because it is now swollen and gorged. It is hot to touch, and I have like lumps all around from where my breast is clogged because my milk ducts are clogged. So as you can see, breastfeeding my son, I had so many joyous moments. Because my son wasn't latching on properly, I didn't know what to do to help my breast heal. So my mom was like, because I was using the Lacinol, like it's kind of like a gel or ointment, I guess you could, it's like an ointment, and I was using that to put it on my breast. But see, me, I'm the mom that I have to taste everything, because if it tastes nasty to me, I'm gonna assume it's nasty for my child. And so I would just like taste it, and I was like, I can't nurse my baby. He's gonna be tasting like Lacinol. Then they're gonna get that thing on their tongues, you know, that little white film. I was like, no, I ain't doing that. So I was like, there has to be some other way. So my mom said, why don't you allow your breast milk to dry on your nipples? Smartest thing that woman said during that time, okay? When I tell you mom came through with the come through, allowing breast milk, if you know it, if anybody's ever seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you know how the dad is like, Windex heals everything? This is for the millennials. If y'all saw the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you know how the dad was like, Windex heals everything. That's breast milk, okay? Breast milk heals acne, cuts, bruises, psoriasis, all types of stuff. It's really like a miracle liquid, or liquid gold as we call it in the breast milk or breastfeeding community. So I would hand express, trying to do it so y'all can see. I would hand express and allow some of the milk to fall around my nipples and just let it air dry. So I was walking around my house like a crazy woman. Like my husband was looking at me like, bruh, you know your titty out, right? I'm like, yes, I know it's out. I'm just letting this one heal. Meanwhile, I got one breast like this and the other one like this, just completely lopsided. So after I was like, okay, what can I do to get my son to latch? My mom, here she come with another good idea. That's what moms are for. She was like, give him a pacifier. So there's like a toss-up. Some moms feel that you shouldn't introduce a foreign nipple to a baby when you initially establish nursing patterns for them. So a foreign nipple is anything that's not your natural nipple. So like a bottle, a nipples bottle, or a pacifier. But the brand that I gave him was kind of resembling of my nipple. It was pretty wide. So that allowed him to learn how to latch. Put in a pacifier in his mouth in order to keep it in his mouth. He had to suck on it, so it had to go between his gums and his tongue, and that allowed him to latch on to me better. So once I hand expressed, got rid of my lumps, put a hot compress on my breast, and I allowed my nipples to heal with dry breast milk, I was able to relatch him on, and he did really great. Then comes the pumping. Oh my gosh, pumping is like the devil. It's an enemy of progress. That's my new thing that I stole from my friend Kelly. An enemy of progress. Pumping is not a true indication of how much milk you can produce, but it's like a mind F. Like you see that your breasts are huge and engorged, but you're only pumping a few ounces. Now I was on that. I was a part of the 15% of first-time moms that do not produce enough milk to feed their infant. I was in the minority. So pumping, at the pump, I would produce about 2 ounces to 2.5 ounces each time I pumped. I spent about 45 minutes to an hour on the pump. I had one breast that was like the little engine that just would not produce nothing, maybe give me about a half ounce, and then the other breast would give me about 1.5 ounces. And I was like, I just don't understand how I had these big old breasts and I can't even produce 15 ounces. Like you see all your friends and all these other women saying, oh my gosh, I produce so much milk. I couldn't understand why. So I decided to go to my resources. What resources are available to me? And that was contacting a lactation consultant. I would say this was about a week after I had my son. I was supplementing him with formula because I wasn't producing enough, and I went to a lactation consultant. And that's, if you have a baby, if you're in a hospital, you definitely can utilize your lactation consultant. Or once you have the baby, if you don't have like an on-call lactation consultant at the hospital, you can also contact La Leche League, and that's a breastfeeding support mom group that's in various cities, and most cities have them, and you can contact them as well to help you. Or if you have a doula, that's another great resource. They would definitely help you with breastfeeding. But I went to a lactation consultant. She gave me all these tips and trades and told me all of these supplements that I could take to help increase my milk. And I was like, okay, this is a game plan. I'm about to go in chanting this mantra. I'm a well-oiled pump. I'm a well-oiled pump, meaning like I'm a breastfeeding nursing machine. I'm going to make all this breast milk. And I didn't. I had the mother's milk tea. I was taking 9 pills of fenugreek a day. I was taking blessed thistle supplements, and I was drinking Gatorade and eating oatmeal every morning, and nothing worked. So I fell into a bit of depression. I was like, how can something so natural fail me? How can my body fail me? I was like, what kind of mother am I that I can't even provide, milk for my child? This is supposed to be easy. And my husband had to sit me down, and he was like, nursing your child or providing for your child, that early stage of breast milk is only a portion of the journey of motherhood. He was like, you're going to have so many other attempts and years of proving, how great of a mom you are to your son. Don't beat yourself up over this. Just because it's something that your body may not be doing doesn't make you a failure. That was deep. I was like, okay, I see why I married you. It was really deep because it does play on your mind. It does make you feel, inadequate or that you failed your child. So that was my experience with my son. With my daughter, complete opposite. As soon as I had her, she was very patient at the breast. I nursed her. I was a stay-at-home mom with her, and I nursed her for 8 months. It was never a problem. Now, what I will recommend is if you're a mom that's a stay-at-home mom, or if you're on maternity leave, don't initially start pumping. For stay-at-home moms, it's not necessary to do it because you nurse on demand. But if you want to pump, I would say I recommend you not pumping until you've established your milk production. Same for working moms that are on maternity leave. If, let's say, you get 6 weeks on maternity leave, I would say let the first 3 weeks you just nurse the baby on demand. A baby's saliva helps you produce more milk. So it stimulates your nipple to make like a contact or a call going upstream to your breast saying, hey, you need to produce more because baby is latching. So your body will continue to produce more. Once you've established a routine with your supply, it helps you to, when you do pump, to pump more. So that's when you get your 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 ounces at the pump. And just remember, no matter what the pump says, that's not your worth. I'm gonna go back to what my husband says. If you're a mom that's struggling at the pump, look, as long as you're producing and you're doing what you can, the baby will eat. If you have to supplement, like I had to with my son, then you do that. There's no harm or shame or foul in that. Give you guys a few tips on if you are struggling to produce breast milk, some things that really helped me know towards the end of my nursing with my son that I wish someone would have shared with me. So the first trick is, do you have proper flange size? So this is a flange. Now, if you see how wide this is, that is because I have larger breasts and I have larger nipples. So most African American women and some Hispanic women, we have wider nipples. As you pump, your nipple goes through like this. It's like this motion going through this. I know it look nasty, y'all. Get your mind out the gutter. It's like this motion going through the pump. Your nipple expands, and if you already have larger nipples, the generic packaging that you receive when you buy your pump, that's not for the size. Most likely it's not for your size nipple. Those are for like women with smaller breasts or smaller nipples. I bought my pump. My first pump was a Medela pump, and I had to actually go online to buy these special made flanges, and I got the second to the largest size. So there are different sizes, but I bought all of them because of course you don't know what your size is, right? So what I started to do was measure my nipple according to my thumb and then putting it between the flange. So let's say my nipple got this wide, let's just say. Then I would know, okay, can my thumb, the width of it, is that the same as the flange? Yes, and it gives me a little bit of extra room, so it's not beating up my nipples. That's something else that caused my nipples to be sore, was because they were rubbing against the flange, and that plastic, all of that pumping, it would get sore as well. Ta-da! So the Mommy's Milk Booster are capsules that have all of the right type of herbs in it. After I nursed my son, like I said, I felt like failure because I was only able to nurse him for 4 months. I knew by the time I had my daughter, I knew the things that I should have done and the things that I needed to do to fix my supply. So I came up with this concoction, and I had no problem with my supply when I had my daughter. This product is actually super near and dear to my heart because, like I said, I went through postpartum depression about breastfeeding. Like, that was super tough for me. And I was like, Lord, if you give me another baby, make sure you let this baby nurse, because if I have to go through this all over again after 5 months of carrying this baby. He was like, Chelsea, I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to give you the tools that you need to help you with this pregnancy. And he did. And I developed this remedy, and it works. So if you want more information on supplements, like instead of taking multiple supplements, 2 of these capsules twice a day in your supply, you're going to notice a boost immediately. This is especially good for those moms that are working moms that go back to work, or traveling moms that have to leave baby for whatever reason, and you don't have enough milk, or you know, maybe your stress levels are high, and that does affect your milk production. Definitely get the Mommy's Milk Boosters pills. There are so many things that are on the market, and I'm not going to knock any of them, but I will tell you, instead of taking 6 tablets a day, 9 tablets a day, taking them with something else, hot tea in the morning, oatmeal for breakfast, Gatorade, a gallon of water, just take 2 pills 1 to 2 times a day, and that's all you'll need. So back to pumping and storing. When, like I mentioned, with my son, I would only produce maybe 2 to 3 ounces. The most I ever produced during one pump session was 5 ounces. And when I would store my milk, this is when I was preparing to go back to work. Everyone's like, you have to store your milk. I'm like, I'm not producing enough. You have to store your milk. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll store it. Then I stored it, and guess what happened? The milk gods were against me. And I took my milk out, and it smelled like dish soap after I thawed it out. And I was like, what the heck? Like, my baby's not going to drink this. This is nasty. And then I would taste it, and it would taste nasty. And I'd be like, how in the world breast milk is sweet? So why does it have this odor tinge to it? Why does it taste nasty? Is my freezer bad? Or maybe I put the breast milk near my oxtails and I'm tasting oxtail? Like, I had no clue what was wrong. And so there's this thing called separation of lipids. So I didn't have a lot of fatty milk or hind fat in my breast milk. My breast milk was really thin and watery. If you eat like good fats like avocados, then you would have a lot of hind fat, and your milk would be like more of a darker yellow color. Mine was like a white cream color, and after I left it on the counter, after I nursed, you would notice that it would separate. So it would be like water at the top and then cream at the bottom, and that was my lipids separating. I would have to shake it up just to get it back to a consistent creamy white color. And so if you have the same or had the same issue when you store your milk and it has like a sour taste or it tastes like dish soap, that's why. That is completely normal, and you still can give it to your baby. Now, whether or not they'll take it or tolerate it is one thing, but I would say always keep your breast milk. Waste not, want not, okay? Like, save every drop you can. So let's say for me, my milk tasted like dish soap. If my son had acne, I would put it on there. When he was eating purees, I would use that and mix it into the puree, my frozen milk that I had stored. So there's all type of creative ideas and ways to still preserve that milk, even if your baby doesn't want it. Lipids is what help protect your baby and builds up their immune system to make sure they're strong. So it's absolutely nothing wrong with still giving it to your baby. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. What no one tells you about breastfeeding. Y'all see these edges? They just are coming back. What no one tells you is that after you have a baby, you lose your edges. And I'm talking lose your edges, okay? It's happened twice to me already. I literally have bald spots on the side here, and they're still, they're still coming and growing in, but it definitely wasn't like before I had a baby. That's one thing they don't tell you. The second thing is no one told me that what you eat affects the baby. So what you put into your body, your breast milk is kind of like blood, and whatever you consume, that comes through the breast milk. So we're told to eat foods with good fat, greens, vegetables, all of these things, but those are the main things that also cause gas. It also can cause a baby to have indigestion. If you're nursing and you notice that your baby has baby acne, that's because of what you're eating. You probably are having a high dairy diet, or not. It doesn't even have to be high. They could just have a dairy allergy. I know I was eating chocolate covered almonds with my daughter. Those things were busting. And I noticed that she was really straining to pass gas, and she would be like, "Ah, ah." And it was really resemblant to colic because my son had colic, but it wasn't completely colic, but still you could tell that she was extremely uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm not even eating dairy with her. Like, I don't understand the problem. Even milk chocolate can offset their digestive system. So if your baby is really gassy or straining a lot, whining, crying a lot after you've had the baby, definitely check your diet. Go back and see what you're eating. If you're eating a lot of like vegetables, those things can cause gas. If you're eating dairy, even the smallest amount, candy, Reese's Pieces, things like that, that can cause them to have acne and eczema or breaking out, you know? So definitely check your diet. It's really like a personal check. You have to make sure if you're going to continue to breastfeed, you have to be willing to make certain sacrifices in your diet to make sure that your baby is comfortable and that their digestive system is on track. Losing weight while breastfeeding. That was like something I was really excited about because everybody was like, oh, you're going to be so snatched. When you breastfeed, all your weight goes to your breast. You lose your stomach. You lose your this. All your baby weight just goes away. I'm still waiting for my baby weight to go away. My daughter's 18 months. There's a 60-40 rule. I was in the 40%, and I actually gained weight while nursing. I have a small appetite normally. I don't eat a lot. I just may eat a little bit here, 2 hours later, eat a little bit here, like that. When you nurse, your metabolism builds up quickly. So you're always hungry. You're constantly eating. You have to replenish your body so that you can produce this milk for your baby. And I gained 20 pounds nursing with my son, and I gained 40 pounds with my daughter after I had her. After I had my son, I lost 20 pounds in the hospital, and then I gained it right back because I was breastfeeding him. I was only able to breastfeed my son for 4 months, so his was really short. I started to lose weight after I stopped nursing him. With my daughter, I nursed her for 8 months, and I put on 40 pounds. It still hurts to say that. I'm still trying to get this weight off, but I put on 40 pounds. So if you are one of the women that can lose weight while you're nursing, congratulations. If you're not like I was, don't beat yourself up. It took your body 10 months to fully produce, rearrange your organs, and create this baby and hold the baby in place. So give yourself the same grace as you're going on your journey to lose weight. At the end of the day, you just have to make the decision which is more important, how you feel about yourself or providing for your daughter, or excuse me, your baby. So I decided that I had gotten to a place where I was feeling really low about my self-esteem, about my weight, and I saw a picture of myself over the holidays, and I was just like, Jesus, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to wean her, and I want to lose weight. And I know some moms might be like, oh my gosh, that's so selfish. If you're not used to seeing your body or being so heavy, that does a lot to you mentally and emotionally, and it's not worth it, because then you're going to start getting irritable or frustrated or angry, and you might take it out on the baby, or the baby might sense your energy. And to me, it was more important that I shielded my baby from those own insecurities, and I just did what was best for me at the time. And I knew that I could still give her formula, but she was at the transition stage where she was starting purees anyway, so I didn't feel so guilty. America has this stigma that they feel like after the baby is 6 months, you shouldn't breastfeed at all, and I think that's kind of crazy. So in every other country except for America, in poverty-stricken companies in third world countries, when you breastfeed, that is for nutrition. So some moms really breastfeed their children for years until they're able to nourish themselves and go out and get enough food that they feel full. If you go to third world countries, like I did a missions trip to Haiti last month in December, and there were babies that were like 1 to 2 years old still being nursed. Only in America, like I said, that we actually have like this whole faux pas about moms that nurse babies after 6 months. And it's crazy to me, especially black moms, because we were the wet nurses. When African Americans, when we were slaves, we nursed not only the children that we produced and created, but also the master's children. And so there were some slaves that were nursing for 6 to 10 years, because if she had a consistent supply, she had to nurse her baby. Imagine if there was a slave that had a baby and couldn't produce milk. She would have to nurse that baby. The master's wife, they didn't want to nurse. She would have to nurse that baby. That's 3 babies nursing off of her. Years some moms have had to, nurse their babies. I would say for however long you want to nurse and allow your baby to self-wean, unless, like I said, you went through what I went through, that whole emotional toll of, being depressed about your weight and your weight gain and all this other stuff. If it's going to affect you emotionally, then your emotional health is better to stop than to continue to do something that you don't want to do, obviously. And while we're talking about shaming, I want to also go on the flip side. Sometimes my breastfeeding moms that are breast is best can shame formula fed moms or formula fed baby moms. And that is something that, like I said, being on both ends of the spectrum, I really truly hated to see. I would see like moms say, I would never give my baby formula. I would never. That stuff is disgusting. Oh my God, those moms are so lazy. I don't care how much it takes you to pump. That's a sacrifice. When you became a mom, that was your responsibility and you were supposed to do it. Okay, well, what if I can't do it? No, there are a lot of supplements. What if those supplements don't work, boo? Then what? I'm gonna let my baby starve? No. Formula is here to help. It's a supplement, It's to help moms that are on the go or can't produce or simply just want to give their babies formula. And formula has enough nourishment in it that the baby can still sustain and be healthy on it. In my personal opinion, the best formula that is out there, the best brand is Similac. So I would say that is mainly because Similac is the most resemblant of breast milk. It's sweet. It has like the same texture and creaminess. And like I said, I've tried all these things. I've tasted Similac and it has a sweetness to it. It's not as sweet as breast milk, but it's great if you're transitioning baby from breast milk to formula, or if you're just starting out, I would recommend Similac. So that concludes today's Wisdom Wednesday about breast milk and breastfeeding. If you guys want to purchase these milk booster capsules, just feel free to go to the website or message me, DM me, and ask me if you have any more questions. I will be posting some reviews so that you can see what moms are saying about it that have used it. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's Wisdom Wednesday. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.